themselves, but for their families, it's just not worth it.
That's the aim. And what I am so proud of as we see Adam Schiff and Tish James and Lisa Cook of the Fed board, and even Jimmy Kimmel, with his late night show being targeted, and now these 6 colleagues of mine who served in the military. The aim is for us to shrink or to be quiet or to hide under the bed and go away. And I'm so proud of them because not a single one of them, not one, has gone silent. And it's not because we wake up every morning seeking to pick a fight with Donald Trump. It's because we seek to choose the truth over Trump. Now, on the flip side of that coin, Chris, you should know, I talk to Republican colleagues. I talk to them at the gym. I talk to them in line at the Dunkin' Donuts in the House office buildings. I text with them. And they tell me, the ones I talk to, that they know what he's doing is wrong. And when I ask them, what will you do about it? They tell me they're afraid of speaking up because of the death threats, because their spouses have told them, don't change our lives, don't have our kids harassed, don't bring security details onto our streets. So that's how they are approaching it. To that, I would say, find a different job. There's a lot of jobs you can do where you don't have to think about that. But we're in the arena now, and the people outside are counting on us, to stand up, get this right, and be stronger than the bully who's intimidating all of us.
I want to play a little bit of a video put out by the Save America movement. This is a message from a group of veterans against these investigations.
This is a targeted attack from the executive branch and from the Department of Defense against a fellow veteran and an honorable American.
They are trying to influence our military to serve the president, not the Constitution and not the American people.
America's military is strong because it's a professional, all-volunteer force and because it's apolitical and nonpartisan.
Undermining that tears at the very fabric of our democracy.
Beyond the impact this has, obviously, on members of Congress or any other person serving, do you see an impact on members of the U.S. military?
I'm heartened by what I learned from our members in the military, and they tell me at town halls or, the ones who I've had longstanding friendships with, that we shouldn't count them out as a check on abuses of power. And of course, you have the congressional check from Article 1 of the Constitution. The judiciary is supposed to be independent. Not a lot of faith in either of those right now. But members of the military have told me, they're not going to follow illegal orders. And we saw in the first Trump term when he wanted his military to shoot at protesters, that they refused to do that. And so I do have a lot of faith in the military. And you also referenced the lawsuit that I brought against Bill Pulte earlier in the interview. I also believe we have to go on offense. Donald Trump has weaponized the Department of Justice against us. People like Pulte are going after the president's enemies. They only understand one language. The only side of the ball that I want to be on is the offensive side. And so I've brought a privacy and First Amendment retaliation suit against the administration for what they're doing, because there has to be consequences for their lawlessness.
So for people who don't know, Bill Pulte is the housing official who referred you to the DOJ for mortgage fraud. And explain the basis, if you will, a little more deeply, what you think is wrong here and why you think it's serious enough that you should bring suit.
Yeah. What he's doing is nonsense. And he's going after me, Schiff, James, Lisa Cook, going through people's mortgages and alleging essentially nonsense, but just to try and silence us, trying to have us spend time and money that is not focused on holding the administration accountable. But you're not allowed to do that. And so we have brought a privacy suit against him and a First Amendment retaliation suit against him. And what I hope my Democratic colleagues also continue to project, not just to Mr. Pulte, but the days of the Republican majority are numbered. We are going into the majority in a year, and there will be consequences. There will be accountability. Those witness chairs in the Judiciary Committee and the Oversight Committee, they are going to be full of every person in the administration who is suspected of breaking the law, from Kristi Noem to Tom Homan to Pulte to everyone. The truth will come out.
So let me ask you about the politics of this, because 4 of the 6 members of Congress who are targeted because of this video are from battleground states, Arizona, Michigan, 2 from Pennsylvania. Senator Slotkin won by a slim margin, but the other 3 won by an average of 8 points. So they're popular.
The answers aren't going to come from House Republican leaders who've been missing in action from day one. It's going to take Democrats compelling just a handful of people on the other side of the aisle to do the right thing so we can extend these Affordable Care Act tax credits. The clock is ticking. We only have to December 31st.
Just to dig into that further, I mean, you had just last week, it feels like a long time ago, but the discharge petition moved forward almost unanimously in the House. Only one person voted against it on the floor. You've said you have the votes, you think you have the votes to do a similar tactic, a discharge petition on these healthcare tax credits. How close are you? And is that something that we could be looking at even the week after Thanksgiving?
Well, absolutely. As soon as we return to Washington, we're going to continue to press our case. We've introduced, of course, as you referenced, this discharge petition that now has north of 200 signatures. We'll only need a handful of House Republicans at the end of the day to join us, and we can extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits for 3 years. We're pressing for a 3-year extension so we can give working class Americans the same level of certainty that Republicans just gave to their billionaire donors when they passed the one big ugly bill and made tax credits, tax breaks for their billionaire donors permanent. And now many of my Republican colleagues can't find a dime in order to help out everyday Americans. It's extraordinary. We're going to continue to press the case in the House. We're going to continue to work with Leader Schumer and Senate Democrats as they press the case in the Senate and do everything we can to get this done by the end of next month.
A lot of them are going to have tough races next year. Seems like voting against healthcare or making healthcare more expensive is a very dumb political move, but I'm not here to give them advice per se. Let me ask you about another thing that has been floating around this week. Obviously, a big story has been, I don't know if you've noticed, but the Republicans seem to be in a bit of disarray over there. And there's rumors and lots of reporting that a number of them are considering leaving Congress before the midterms over frustrations with Trump and with Mike Johnson. That would obviously have a huge impact on a lot of people, most specifically you. Are you preparing for the possibility that Democrats could be in the majority before the midterms?
Well, we certainly are working as hard as we can to make sure that we flip the 3 seats necessary next November to take back control of the House so we can begin the process of ending this national nightmare. But as you've indicated, there's a GOP civil war that's going on the other side of the aisle. Donald Trump fighting with Marjorie Taylor Greene, who was his biggest supporter. Mike Johnson and John Thune fighting with each other. Nancy Mace, of course, fighting with every single person in the House Republican conference. It's a mess over there. And it is our expectation that in the next few weeks, upon return from the Thanksgiving recess, you're going to see some reasonably high-profile Republicans continue to announce that they're either not seeking re-election or resigning in the middle of the Congress. And if enough of that happens, when we get back to full strength as Democrats, which will be 215, some interesting things could occur in this Congress in advance of the midterm elections.
We'll look forward to that. It feels like it's only a couple weeks between Thanksgiving and Christmas, but what you're telling me is there could be votes for a discharge petition on health care. We'll see. And there could be more high-profile resignations. Well, that seems like something we'll all look ahead to in December. Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries, thank you so much and have a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
Democrats keep going on the issues, and I do think this is important. I do. I really do. I still have a lot of criticisms of Democratic leadership, more in the Senate than in the House. Although I've been critical, for example, why did it take Jeffries so long to endorse Mamdani when I feel Mamdani is the future of the party in a lot of ways? And just more practically, the majority of the people in Jeffries' district voted for Mamdani. Right, in the Democratic primary and whatnot. So I have lots of criticism, but I do think it's important. They are making it clear that they're not going to let go of the 2 big things with Trump. 3, really. One, affordability. He's promised to make things cheaper. He's not making it cheaper. Two, healthcare. Healthcare is a big one. Go at healthcare. And while I do think the Senate caving, unbelievably irresponsible, them caving, the reality is it does keep the issue of Republicans stealing your healthcare as an issue. And it does mean that into December, into January, and as we get closer to the midterms, the issue of Republicans stealing healthcare from the poor and working class, middle class, to pay for their yachts and for the billionaire tax cuts, I don't think that's popular, even with a lot of people who identify as Republicans and conservatives. But then also Trump's use of the state to attack his political enemies. All of this stuff made Trump more unpopular. I know that it sounds ridiculous because one of the things he didn't lie about was that he was going to get revenge. He was honest about that. He said he was going to do it. He said that. But people, I think, needed to be reminded of how sick Trump's approach to law and order and justice is. And Democrats, I think, honestly, in some ways they can't help but play good moves when Trump attacks them. Like, say what you will, a lot of people are going to have sympathy for Mark Kelly and Eric Swalwell and the other Democrats when Trump is threatening to jail them over nothing. Of course people are going to have sympathy over that. Of course people are going to cut extra donations to candidates that are perceived to be under legal threat by Donald Trump. And so if they keep focused on Trump as a dangerous man that makes your life expensive and steals your health care, they're going to win big next November.